Hey guys, what's going on? This is Vince from smartphoneboss.com, and I am here with an unboxing and quick review of the LG Thrill 4G for AT&T. This is their first 3D device, and it's running on Android 2.2 Froyo with the ability to be upgraded to 2.3 whenever AT&T and Google decide to release it. So let's get into it. LG sent us a test device to use for the last few days, and they sent it in what's going to be the actual retail packaging here, as you can see. So let's pull out the device and see what's going on. Paperwork, of course, quick start guides and what have you. Here's the device itself with the dual 5 megapixel cameras on the back for the 3D recording. The video cameras actually shoot in full 1080p at 24 frames per second, and the 3D video capture is 720p at 30 frames a second, just so you know that. Inside the packaging we have, let's see, we have the USB port, charging adapter. We also got an HDMI cable provided by LG, which is really nice of them, because these cables aren't cheap, of course, unless you shop on Amazon. And then you have a USB data cable, of course, which it better come with, so you can charge and sync your device. So that's the packaging, that's the box. Let's get into the phone. So what's interesting about this device, of course, is it's 3D. This is the first one that's going to be arriving on AT&T in the next few days. Let's get into some specs here. You have, of course, a 3D LCD capacitive touchscreen with 16 million colors, 480 by 800 pixels, 4.3-inch display. Accelerometer, of course, gyro, touch-sensitive controls at the bottom there for the menu, home, back, and search. Typical Android controls. 8 gigabytes of internal storage. We have 512 RAM. And we have micro SD up to 32 gigabytes, of course. And then we have, this is actually running on AT&T's HSPA Plus network up to 14.4 megabits per second. And of course, we know the game where AT&T considers it 4G, just like T-Mobile considers theirs 4G. So we'll just roll with that. And like I said, we have the dual 5 megapixel cameras with 2560 by 1920 pixels, autofocus LED flash, once again 1080p at 24 frames per second with 2D recording and 3D recording at 720p at 30 frames per second. Android 2.2 Froyo, upgradable to 2.3, dual core 1 gigahertz ARM Cortex A9 processor, yada yada yada, you catch my drift, let's get on with it. So the first thing I noticed about this device is the screen is okay, but the UI by LG is very kiddish. It looks a little too bright, a little too childish for my taste. I'm more of a Google stock fan. I also like HTC Sense's approach. This kind of reminds me of the TouchWiz interface, even though Samsung's TouchWiz interface for the Galaxy S2 got a little bit better. This one by far looks the most kiddish to me, if that makes any sense, but once again, that's just my opinion. Let's try and zoom in and see if you can see at the top here. You can see like it doesn't look, you know, what's the word I'm looking for? It doesn't look polished. You know, it kind of looks a little beta-ish to me, you know, from the way that it's designed, from the way that it looks as far as the UI goes. It looks kind of like one of those aftermarket or knockoff devices that you get in China. You know what I'm saying? Like those fake iPhones and stuff, how they have those types of displays. Now, the screen is nice, but it's just the UI that throws you off a little bit. And of course, we have the LG's 3D space down here, which is really the only way to check out the 3D if you're not recording. So this is where you can get 3D games, you can get 3D guides, YouTube in 3D, you got your 3D photo gallery, and you have your 3D camera, and you can see it without 3D glasses, and it's pretty cool, but you have to look at it dead on. If you look at it from slightly to the side or from the other side, you get really dizzy, and we'll get into that more later on with the review. So let's get back to the home screen here. One problem I was having with setting up the device is it did not connect to my Wi-Fi router. I have a Netgear router, and every single smartphone I've ever owned hooked up to that router except for this one. Now AT&T has delayed the launch by a couple weeks, so hopefully it's some type of software update that they got to roll out to fix that, because my router is very universal. I never have issues with it. I know some Androids have some issues with routers, mine does not. So that kind of bugged me a little bit setting it up. It was a pain to set up. These are the home screens. Of course, you got AT&T's native apps built in, and you have some by Google. You have some widgets by LG. Check out the widget section that we got here. Little pop-up menu here. We got some widgets, shortcuts, folders, wallpaper, and then you have little widgets that they've picked out that you can just drag right onto your home screen. And what we'll do is hit the browser here. We're already at smartphoneboss.com. Let's see if you can get a little close up here. Once again, display's pretty nice, does its job. But I noticed that the lettering in the browser, when zoomed really far out, it's very pixelated. It's not as clear as, say, a Retina display on an iPhone 4 or a Super AMOLED Plus display on a Galaxy S2. But I mean, it does the job. It's not bad, but it's not great either. So that's the browsing experience, which we've all come to know and love with WebKit, of course, designed by Apple. Let's get to the camera. So when you go into the camera, you have a couple options that you would never really see normally on a smartphone, and that's this little switch over here. You have 2D and 3D recording, and then of course your record button. Now I recorded a couple of videos right here that I will be incorporating into the final review video. So here we are at the gallery, and you'll see a video here that I recorded in 3D. With the little 3D icon right there, so you could tell which one is 3D and which is not. And then I recorded one in full 1080p. So let's see if we can get this 3D video to play for you.
This should be in 3D.
As you can see, like, I don't know if you could see it, but if you look at it from an angle, it kind of doubles, and that's what makes you real dizzy.
I'm really dizzy right now, looking at this in the viewfinder.
Oh, there we go.
iPhone 4 in 3D. And let's check it out.
So that's a 3D video that I recorded real quick, and then I will show you the 1080p video right now. This is the 1080p video quality. My Samsung Infuse 4G, and of course the G-Shock watch that I use for all video testing. And I'm using the light as well. But that is the 1080p video test. And there you go, that's the 1080p recording. So you can see the difference there, but that 3D recording is kind of like a gimmick. You know, it's pretty cool when you first see it, but you really will find no use for it. At least I won't. You know, on a day-to-day basis, I won't be recording things in 3D, especially with the way it looks in this viewfinder or on the screen itself. It makes you extremely dizzy. I actually got nauseous at one point, but we won't get into that. One thing you'll notice in the menu here, we have 3D applications, and it comes with a couple 3D games. We have Asphalt 6 in 3D, we have Nova in 3D, which is like the Halo for cell phones, and then we have Let's Golf 2 in 3D, which is pretty cool for LG to incorporate with the device. You also have access to all the 3D applications and whatnot that we saw in the 3D space earlier. And then they break it down, the full menu here by these little like drawer type things, which is kind of corny. Doesn't really work that well. You can like close it and then open it, and I don't know, it's kind of weird. But then you have the regular applications. You have of course like my AT&T Live TV, AT&T Family Map Navigator, but yada yada yada, all the AT&T apps. And then you have Quick Light installed because of course we got the forward facing camera. for video chat and self-portrait shots. So I'll take you real quick through the application drawer. You got all the basic Android apps you would use, and Twitter's pre-installed, it looks like. I don't see a Facebook. Oh yeah, Facebook is pre-installed there. And then of course you have the messaging application, which I will show you what it looks like on this device. Okay, so I texted Ramon earlier, and that's what the conversation looks like. See, kind of like real kiddish. It doesn't look like a, I don't know, a real polished user interface. I know I keep saying that, but you have to see this thing in person to kind of understand what I mean. It kind of looks like, I don't know, like text messaging on a Game Boy Advance or something like that, if it existed. Or if it does exist, I don't know. But that's what I see. So that is the messaging. Here's the back of the device itself. Of course, like we said, the dual 5 megapixel cameras with the LED flash, AT&T's big old branding on the back. We have the headset jack at the top, and then the lock and power switch. We also have, if you can see it, it's kind of hard to see, the volume rocker there. And we have the 3D button right here, that when you're in the camera you can switch it right to 3D. You also have the HDMI port and the charging port. And once again, it does come with the HDMI cable for viewing on a high-def TV. So, I mean, all in all, it's a pretty nice device. It's an average device. It's going to be launching for $99, which is not a bad deal. LG really wants to get their devices out there, and starting this kind of device at $99 is actually pretty nice, especially with the 3D option. That's probably a good selling point for the $99 price point, but anything higher than that, I don't think anyone would buy it or attempt it. 3D is a way of selling things, just like 3D TVs, but once again, what's the use for it? You know, is there a use for day to day? No, it's a gimmick still. Until there's more support for 3D televisions and 3D cell phones, I don't see this really doing anything in the future. Now, I could be wrong, but that's just my opinion right now. We're waiting right now for the Samsung Galaxy S2 and the iPhone 5 to hit the US. So LG wanted to rush this out, and you could tell it was a little buggy. The software would freeze here and there and glitch out. But other than that, once they get the bugs and kinks worked out, it will be a nice device for $99, and that will be with the 2-year contract on AT&T. And I can possibly even seeing this drop to $49.99, or even buy one get one, possibly like Black Friday or even before that. You never know, but LG needs to push this out quick, and before the Samsung Galaxy S2 and iPhone 5 hit. That's pretty much it. My name is Vince. I am editor-in-chief at smartphoneboss.com. You can hit me up on Twitter at HeKidnappedHer, or hit up Ramon at RaySoSerious, and hit us all up at SmartPhoneBoss. Once again, thanks for watching. See you next time.